you and Chuck were both wildly explosive lifters, right? If you were working, if you were working with a more of a grinder, someone who's, I guess, stronger, but just not as fast, would they benefit from something like this as well? Or do you think that they would have to, obviously the percentages would have to be different, because someone who is slower, they would probably have to be at a lower percentage to get that same level of snap, right?
Yes, they could benefit from it, but at that volume, that number of sets, no. Because
they would just crap out.
They're not going to have, if they already don't have the explosive component to flex hard. Everybody has the explosive component. It's just different with each person is where they rank. So if it's already less on them or lower on them, that means it's going to fatigue way faster. So they might be lucky to get 3 or 4 sets.
Right.
They might be better off box jumping or doing plyos or doing something to be able to establish that first, then go from there, So everybody can benefit from speed work, because let's take the speed component out. Because the other thing that's happening on that day outside of what you guys did is technical work and repetition work. So there's in 40 sets that you did, we changed your squat technique a little bit, right? Yeah. And so we reinforced some of that in that session there. So forget about the exhaustion and all the other stuff associated with that. What you just did in that training session was reinforce definitely over 80, because some of the sets were 5, maybe 100 technical reps with a technique that we just showed you how to squat with. So when fatigue sets in, it's harder for you to pay attention to what you're doing. But when the sets are only 1 or 2, you can pay attention to that, even in a fatigue state. So now we're taking that 2 things that we changed, right? So the feet rooting a little bit, the breathing, and the neck, and we taught it to you, and then we put it here. So now they're just reinforced at 100 reps with that. Then we also put in a very fatigued state. So now in those very, very last sets, in your head, you're thinking, I can do this, but it's going to be way easier if I do this with my head in the right position and if I'm breathing the way that I'm supposed to breathe. So now we took that skill acquisition to the whole nother level with that. So in a technical sense, you could say, and I'm just pulling shit out of my ass here, let's think about it. If you just work technique with a normal client that just does normal squats, how many top sets are there typically? 2, 3? Yeah. So maybe 6 total work sets, right, in over a 50% range in one training session compared to 100. So how many training sessions technically with 50%, if we're just looking at 50% and above, because anything under 50%, it's hard to work technique as well. It's just broomstick, it's too light. Yeah. Right? So we have 6 times, oh my God. So how many sessions is that? It's 10, so that's 10 weeks just to get to 60, right? So if you put the warm-ups in there, we're looking at 20 weeks, right, of doing a normal squat training to be able to get the same technical efficiency that we just got out of that.
In one session.
In one session. Without doing it under great load, strain, stress, and all those other things that we were talking about earlier. So now that changes that biggest question of, is this necessary? For whom?
Right.
Right? Because let's say we want to fast track his, this could be the best thing that he's ever done to fast track his squat technique. While it sucks, if you think it through and see what happened, it could almost seem like it was intentional, but it was. I wouldn't, I would.
It's kind of worked out.
Now, with him, maybe.
Well, I was going to say, you have an Olympic lifting background, so you're used to the same movements, high percentages. Just the amount of time that you do these reps, I can't even imagine how many clean and jerks and snatches.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Yeah, but there is a certain amount of being able to execute at a high level under fatigue.
Yeah, I think it played out perfectly, kind of the way we did it, with covering the technical cues that we did, and then being able to execute it under all the conditions. Made a big difference, because I'll be straight up honest, I wouldn't have been able to get the reps that we got to without having that technique. Like it just wouldn't have happened. So from a learning perspective, that is just like he had said, we condensed a ton of training sessions into, I mean, I'm going to call it an experience.
Yeah.
But for me now moving forward, I think those conditions are going to ingrain that a lot faster for future training for me, which is, it's cool how it worked out. I don't think it was really that intentional, but it ended up working out perfectly.
Right. Yeah. And to see how you went into each squat, right? Like you almost broke it down into three steps.
Three steps.
Yep. I saw you just
Yeah.
get, like in your head, it was like 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
1, 2, 3, over and over and over and over and over. And I think if, as a more advanced lifter, like you have the capacity, the mental capacity, the cognitive capacity, the physical capacity to get to that state of fatigue and still be able to execute. Right. I could see how this like you couldn't do this for a beginner. Like there's no,
yeah.
it's just muddying the water of what you're trying to teach them. Right.
Yeah. I think, I mean, we're all competitive athletes here and we have that competitive edge. So for me, this is an advance, I would say, I don't even, if it was a principle or technique, but it's something that now I have in my toolbox that I can use for the future and kind of puts you on the fast track, which is kind of, it's cool how it played out, you know?
Well, it's such a painful thing that you do that you're not going to forget the lesson you learned from it. I think it's the,
Well, but that's how you learn.
Well, sometimes there's hidden lessons too, because as we were talking in the bathroom, you know.
Find that on your Only Tate's account.
Oh yeah, my butt.
Yeah, we were talking about his butt in the bathroom. You know, I noticed it was a little fuller than normal. So, but anyhow,
rotund.
You know, he was saying that his lower glutes are on fire from doing that.
I can attest.
So with that, it was remember what we were talking about earlier with him as well as with his hamstring training and all that. I'm like, there might be something here. I don't know what it is, but this targeted, not all the reps and all. It could be the lower box squat, the stance that he was in was targeting an area that we really need to look at building. So anytime you do anything that's kind of like on the edge or the fringes, and you look back on it, you can find things like what we're talking about technically or things like this here. Yes. So you don't ever want to, and I'm all for doing stupid shit, right? So, but I'm all for if you do the stupid shit, pause and think about it and what could you learn from it? Because you're not going to you can't always do stuff like that. But a lot of the times, if you look at it really close, there's usually some takeaways that are like, wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And that could be that's one of those examples there.
Yeah, if you didn't push it to that extreme, you're not going to be able to work backwards from it and be like, wow, so this is what happened. There's something there. Like my lower ass feels like I've had DOMs for 3 days.
Yes.
20 minutes afterwards. Okay, if that's something I need to target for my bodybuilding, then there's something to this movement, being able to target that. It doesn't mean I'm going to do 43 sets of this shit again.
No, but there's definitely a takeaway. Yeah. That's what I'm saying is you want to look for those things, and because they're always there. It's the cool thing about it. Otherwise, it's just grunting and straining.
Well, there's two things that, I mean, I'm not downplaying the fact of how hard it was, but even the last session we did, the leg session, it was treacherous in every way, but I still felt okay. And like I said, I'm not trying to downplay what we just did. I worked my ass off, but the same thing happened today where, I mean, we put it all on the line, and, shout out to Dave for just having the wisdom to know, I guess, how to do that. Cause like, I don't, it's hard for me to experience that anywhere else than just from coming here. But the other thing for me was a technical breakdown with my lower back, which both of you guys had seen, and we wouldn't have been able to see that unless we did what we had done.
Right.
So that was like a big takeaway for me, and you guys both saw that and something I can work on too. And I wasn't in dangerous position or anything, but it's like I had to get in that amount of volume to see what was going on.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and it especially for strongman, right? Is like if someone were to say, "Hey, Joey, you need to work in your upper back," you'd be like, yeah, "Okay, go fuck yourself." Like, there's no way. But now you can see how like that can impact your deadlift. How can impact even you have such a strong overhead press. But imagine if your upper back was stronger for that front rack position.
It's crazy. My mind's going like all over the place.
It's like, oh shit! Like, what could I do?
When you see the video when it comes out, or if they can just show you a couple of your reps, you're gonna be like, holy crap! I need to build my. I need to build this big time.
But kind of like we were saying, it's a fast track kind of thing for me. And obviously, it's going to take time, but it's like, boom! It's glaring now that this is something we can focus on, make me a better athlete.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, what I want you to look when you see it, and when anybody sees it, when they watch that, is, watch what your elbows are doing, right? Because they're pivoting, they're moving around every time you sit down, flex, every time you sit down, flex. Well, anytime there's excess movement going on, that's power being lost, right? So so now if we tighten that down, that power has got to go through the body of the bar. So that then goes to, well, what other times are you in that bent over type squat position and power gets lost?
Yeah.
May or may not be the case, but it was definitely there. So when people knowing YouTube, people are definitely going to comment and say some dumbass thing about it, right? But which is great because they love you, right? Unless you're Sam, everybody loves Sam, so that's a whole different thing.
Give it time.
Yeah. When he squats more, you got 200 pounds more. They're
going to hate the shit out of him.
Yeah. He does. I mean, I put something up on YouTube. It says like Sam wearing gear, even squatting high. Doesn't matter. He can squat 3 inches high. Looks solid, Sam. Good job, Sam. Good luck at the meet, Sam. And it's like, he just ain't strong enough yet. Or he's just got a better personality than everybody else online. To me, it's they don't.
It's not at a number that's intimidating.
Why is that? When that's so true.
I know,
that is so true.
You know what? We're just gonna say it just because most people don't pay attention anyhow, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do this here shortly while you're still somewhat strong and peaked. We're gonna throw some of the fake fucking plates on there. Right, like to make your 600 look like 850, right? And we're gonna make it look bigger, right? And then we're gonna post it. And I bet this is gonna be my projection. Sam's high as fuck. Sam started taking shit. There's going to be, there's going to be no go
100%.
Sam. It's going to be 100%.
There were 2 comments on the YouTube video that stuck out to me. They're like, oh, wow, I thought Sam was on steroids, and I saw that he was too small. And I was like, ow. I was like, fucking ow. It's like, okay, this is good.